This is the latest. It's being reported by national guys, and we all have different contexts. The clubs are calling the Padres inquiring about Juan Soto. You can't make a trade right now, but once the World Series is open, everything can change. Yankees and Cubs evidently are prepared to make an offer for the Padres slugger. Now, the Padres had not indicated they're going to trade him, but they did indicate last week we never don't listen to people who call us on the phone.
Yeah.
We take in all the data. The Chicago Cubs are looking for a huge bat. They evidently are not going to re-sign Cody Bellinger, despite the fact he hit 306 with 26 home runs. They're looking to replace that bat. They'll have money. They've got a significant amount of free agent checking account space to maybe go get Soto. Soto at Wrigley Field would be a terror. Holy cow.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of young pitchers that could be part of the package, but evidently the marquee guy is a young outfielder by the name of Peter Crow Armstrong, and that would have to be part of a Juan Soto Padre Chicago Cubs deal. The Yankees, they're going to make some changes. The Yankees were below the luxury tax threshold, so now they can spend, go above the limit, but it won't kill them. The Yankees have a young outfielder that I was told the Padres like, a kid by the name of Jason Dominguez. Hit a bunch of home runs in the month of September, and then he got hurt and wound up having surgery. But the Yankees have got 3 other young everyday prospects, including a second baseman, Oz Peraza. They've got a young pitcher, Michael King, who looks like he's ready-made. They've got some other young arms. So the Yankees are evidently in the mix. I don't know where Seattle might be in the situation. I don't know at this point what San Francisco's got to offer. There is a report that Boston is going to make some major changes. They've got one marquee veteran, Alex Verdugo, the ex-Dodger. He could be part of a potential Juan Soto trade. So that's where we are. Plenty of time for the Padres to take phone calls from people, to observe what might be out there in terms of a potential deal, and then decide whether, and this is the big question, and we'll ask everybody on Fans Forum, feel free to jump into this conversation in the chat box. Do you keep Soto for the start of the season and see if he can propel you and this rest of the team of underachievers back into the pennant race? Do you try to sign him right now to a mega extension? If you're out of the pennant race, do you trade him at the trade deadline and get what you can get from somebody that thinks they can sign him, because you got to negotiate with Scott Boras? So that becomes the big piece of the equation. How do the Padres handle this? Do it now? Let him play? See how the season goes? Trade him at the end of the season if you can't re-sign him? So it's a multiple choice exam. Once upon a time at college, when you weren't drunk in the classroom, you probably had to take those. Which do you think of those choices is the legitimate one the Padres should consider?
Well, if they traded him, it would be like admitting that they made a bad deal to get him in the first place. And they said, we're going to have Juan Soto for 2 full and a half seasons, so 2.5 seasons.
3 pennant races.
3 pennant races, exactly. So now we're basically saying, we're not in the next pennant race. You got to keep them. Now, the only thing is if they have to lower their payroll because of that debt ratio that MLB is requiring. But otherwise, I say if you can, keep him. Let's go back one more time and make a run in 2024. We have the roster to be successful, and you want Soto on it. I mean, the dude was mashing, especially in the second half. I mean, that's a guy we want. But flip it around. Let's say you're the Cubs or the Yankees. How much are you willing to give up just for a 1-year rental? And everyone knows it's a Boras client. They're not going to sign an extension midway through. They're going to go to free agency.
Except the Yankees and Cubs have had a history of spending on some Boras clients. So I don't think you can rule that out and say that's a negative. Now, if you keep him till next July 31st and you're not in a pennant race because this thing did not rally back, you're surely not going to get the 6-for-1 that you traded to get Soto from Washington.
Well, that's the worst case of the 3 multiple choice options, right?
Yep.
I mean, for me, best option, keep him. Then a very distant number two is trade him in the offseason. And then number three is trade him at the trade deadline. But God, it just it kills me that we finally got this amazing roster and now they're trying to figure out ways to unload it.
All right, here's an additional question.
Okay.
Okay. If you trade Soto, if you lose Snell, if you say goodbye to Hader, and then you add into the equation, we don't know how Yu Darvish will be coming off the elbow surgery.
Mhm.
And you hope there's no setbacks with Joe Musgrove's capsule, but shoulder capsules can be problematic that might result in surgery, which means gone for a year. And then you got the Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo question. Are you going to pay everybody at the back end of the rotation $16 million a year? Because that's the potential. I mean, if all those things, there is no Soto, the two free agent pitchers are gone. Your top two starting pitchers that are left are not quite physically what they were, and you got these bottom three guys. You're going to have half a roster. What kind of franchise you're going to have next year if all those dominoes fall?
Yeah, it's a potential disaster. I mean, you joked that half the roster would be gone in the offseason, but that's not crazy talk. I mean, that's realistic. But they're talking about one of those pitchers from Japan, another one from Korea that maybe they can plug in. That sounds interesting. But when you've got Hall of Famers at like every position, yeah, that's a big nut to bite off on. But they're bringing in so many people in the park. They're selling it out. They're still an it team, and you've got this window of one more year. So man, go for it, Seidler. Put your chips to the center of the table. Keep Soto.
Okay. Fans Forum, you're a Padre fan, you're a baseball fan. Jump on board in the chat room. Give us an opinion. Look at the board is just filling up. And again, we know we got a lot of people that want to join us in Fans Forum. So don't write 10 different things. just give us one or two from your address so we can look at that and then look at one or two from other guys. But you got an opinion on the Soto thing, the Preller thing, feel free. Let's talk about the other